Today we're going to work on a solo arrangement of The Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. This is a strum solo song, which means we're going to be playing it as a solo instrumental, but we're going to keep the pulse going all the way until the very end at the whistling solo. So if you're confused by strumming, be sure to check out the links down below. I actually did a whole course on strumming that you can stream over at my Patreon page. The gist of it, though, is when you're strumming, you want to keep your hand consistently moving, meaning you never are going to be trying to jerk the motion. Keep the hand moving down and up, and you're going to have a good time. In fact, if you accidentally strum up when you should have missed the strings coming up, a lot of times it sounds fine. In fact, in my performance, I might have even not done it perfectly, because as long as you keep that moving, it's going to sound really good. For the terminology here, though, you'll see that we've got this little 3/4 square. That's going to be a down strum, and the little V, and that's going to be an up strum. So that will tell us the strum patterns that are being played as we look at this tab. So let's go ahead and start with the chorus. We're going to start right off the get-go. You're going to notice there's lyrics associated with this, and that's really nice because when there are words, we know we should play those notes louder. So we're going to start with a C chord, index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string, or your middle finger. Either finger works, just don't use your ring, and you'll see, or pinky, and you'll see why in a moment. And we're going to do this little strum pattern, down, up, for the sittin' in the, sittin' in the. And then when we go to mourn, of mourning, we're going to take our pinky and place it on the 5th fret of the A string. And then we're going to go back down to the 3. So if we leave our middle finger here, we are all ready to go. We go down again. And then the very last strum of this measure is going to be an E chord. All that you need to do is move your pinky up to 7. So you saw that was on that 5. It's going to slide up to 7. Then take your index finger and bar it across the 4th fret. Now, if you're new to bar chords, make sure that you get that finger all the way up against that fret wire without coming over. If you're in the middle, it's a lot harder to get a good fretted sound. So get right up next to that fret wire. Push smarter, not harder. And that gives us the E chord. And we're going to do an up strum on that. So the strum pattern here is down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And it should sound something like this. Now that was a little rough, right? What I did wrong there is I used my ring finger. I was guessing. Remember, if we use our middle finger here on 3, and then the pinky on 5, and then slide up, makes it much easier to get consistent. So let's hear that one more time with some smarter fingering. Sittin' in the morning sun. Going right in the next measure, you'll notice that there's a lot of filler here. It's going to go up, down, up, down, up, down, and then down, up for the rhythm. Now let's break this down just a little bit. If you look at the very beginning of measure 2, you'll see, well, wait a minute, there's a little down marker. Well, it's all in parentheses, and the parentheses means that it's actually carried over from the previous bar. So I left this in here because I think it's really important to know that after that up strum on the word sun, morning sun, you bring your hand back down without striking the strings. And then you're going to go up, down, still on that E chord. But you'll also notice there are no words associated with these strums, so play them softer so that you can really enunciate the melody. And then after you've done that, up, down, you're going to do down, up, but this has a melody here on the 2nd strum of that. Down, up, it's going to be B. So it's really important to strum that last one louder. So let's hear what the first 2 measures sound like, shall we? It should be something like this. Sittin' in the morning sun. B. And then we're going to just take this chord shape, move it up 1 fret to 5, and pinky goes to 8. It's literally just moving up 1 fret. And with that, we're going to go down, up, down, up, down. Really straightforward. Sittin' when the eve. And then ning. Take this shape, which you'll notice right now I'm using my middle finger to kind of reinforce the index. That can sometimes make it a little bit easier since this bar chord is going to be played a lot during the song. We're going to move this down 1 fret for the word ning, or even. And then ning, we're going to move it down again. And then for the word come, we're going to move it down 1 more time and come on the up strum. Kind of crazy, but this is what measure 3 should sound like. Sittin' when the evening come. It's My favorite part of the song. It's so iconic to how this song should sound, right? And all that is taking that chord shape and moving it straight down from 5 to 2, hitting each of the stops along the way. Now, to close out this whole stanza here, you'll notice on measure 4, it's just some strumming filler. You'll notice there are no words here with this D chord that's being played, that 2-2-2-5. And so the rhythm that's written on measure 4 is going to be this miss going down, then up, down, down, up. But between you and me, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what pattern you play as long as you're filling it with the 4 beats that are a necessity for the measure. And that's what makes this arrangement so much fun to play, is if you're not perfect with these patterns, as long as your hand is consistently moving down and up, and you're getting 4 beats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and of movement, it's going to work really well. Make sure you hit those melody notes. Everything else is just filler. So let's hear what measures 1 through 4 should sound like. Should be something like this going through. Sitting in the morning sun, be sitting when the evening comes. So that's with the filler correct, but again, if you do a down up when you should have done a down miss, or if you do, a down up when you should have done a miss up, or whatever, it doesn't really matter as long as you're keeping that rhythm going. So here's what's cool. As we go on, if you got that measure down or that stanza down, as we go on to now measure 5, it's more the same stuff. A little bit different rhythms sometimes, but it's not that hard if you get those first 4 measures down. So now we're going to be playing the C chord and a little bit different of a rhythm, still with the middle finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string, and we're going to go down, up, and then we're going to miss and then come up again, right? Because it's got 2 miss markers in a row, or 2 up markers in a row. And anytime you have 2 ups in a row, you have to miss your hand coming back down to come up. It's physically impossible to go up, up, because we have to go up, miss, up, right? If I go up like this, I got nowhere to go. Unless we do a double neck ukulele, but that might add some more problems than it does help, right? So we're starting that rhythm with down, up, miss, up, and then we're going to go down on the 5, down, miss coming up, down on the 3, and then up on the 4, 4, 4, 7. So almost identical, just very small change there. So it goes something like watching the ships roll in, and then we go on, and then it's then I. That measure 6, is exactly the same as measure 2, only there's 2 melody notes at the end instead of just 1. But rhythmically, it's identical. Up, down, down, up. And that's it. Then I. And then guess what? This next measure, watch them roll away again. It's exactly the same as measure 3. Exactly identical. No change whatsoever. And then as we go on to measure 8 now, same D chord, up, down, but now we have some melody notes in here. Yeah, I'm, right? So the strumming is going to be built around those melody notes. Remember, the ones that have words with them are more important to play at the correct time. The other ones, you can kind of skip or whatever else to make it your own. If you're internalizing that melody and you're playing it at the right time, you're gonna have a good time with it. So measure 8 looks something like this. Miss, up, down, yeah, and now we're going to go on to measure 9. But before we do that, let's hear what 5, 6, 7, and 8 should sound like. Should be something like this. So we have watching the ships roll in, then I watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm. Now you can hear I kind of messed it up there. That's because I'm not a vocalist, and as soon as I start saying or singing, I mess everything up. You'll notice that measure 7 is exactly the same as 3. And that sounds so cool. So let's go on to measure 9 now. Now measure 9 gets a little bit more interesting in the sense of we're playing some chords that you might not be familiar with, but it's only 2 chords for this whole run for measures 9, 10, 11, 12. It's just C to A7. Now we're going to play our C with our index finger. Very important to use our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. And we're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's going to be sitting on the dock of the. And then for bay, we're going to take that index, slide it all the way up to 7 on the A, take your middle finger, add it on the 9th fret of the C string, and your ring finger, add it on the 9th fret of the E string. So we have 0, 9, 9, 7. This is that new chord. It's an A7. I love the sound of this A7. Such a nice chord. And we're going to do that on the up strum. So pretty straightforward measure, and you can see that index is just coming up. So it's going sitting on the dock of the bay. Now from here we go up, down on measure 10, and then watching the, so that's all on that same chord, down, up, down on the words watching the, and then it gets a little crazy here on the word time. On time, we're going to take our pinky and add it on the 12th fret of the A string while removing all of our other fingers from the strings. We're going to do an up strum here on this word time. And then we're going to miss going down, going into measure 11, and then we're going to use our ring finger and come up on 10 of the A. Alternatively, you can slide your pinky down to 10 on the A too, whatever's more comfortable. We're going to do an up there, and then we're going to do a down on 7, which you can use your index or middle. It doesn't really matter, we're moving downward. And then we're going to miss, and then we're going to move it down again to 5, play that. And then we're going to move it down again to 3 while we miss, and go down. And now we want our index to be here on 3 of the A string on that last one for the word As we go to way, we go back up to that A7, slide back up to 7, add the 9 on the C and the E strings, and we're going to come up. So let's look at just that measure 11. Actually, let's look at just before measure 11 on the word tie of tide. We're going to come up on 12, tie, and then roll away. And then filler for the rest of measure 12 here. Up, down, down, up, down. Whatever you want to do for the filler works great as long as it fills that 4 beats. So let's go ahead and hear measures 9, 10, 11, and 12. It should sound something like this. Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Pretty cool. I really like playing this measure. And then from here, we're going to go on to measure 13 through 16, which finishes this chorus section. Sitting on the dock of the bay. Sounds pretty familiar, but played in a little bit different of a way. We're going to start with the first chord you've probably ever played on the ukulele. All open. We're going to play all open, sitting, and then we're going to add 3 on the A, sitting, and then on, keep the 3 on, then take it off for the, and then add it back on and leave it for dock of the, dock of the. Pretty straightforward. Sitting on the dock of the. And then for the word bay, we're going to play that D chord. We actually played it earlier. It was the end of our little run. But now, instead of doing the run, we're just going to play the D. So bar your index across 2 of the G, C, E, and A strings. Add the pinky on 5 of the A. Feel free to add that middle finger over the top if it helps. Get right up next to that fret wire. And we're going to do an up strum on that. And then there's some filler here. Going into 14, we're going to come up, down to fill up that space. And then we're going to go down and then up with 3 on the A. So what we do here is we take our pinky off and we make our middle finger go to the 3rd fret of the A string while maintaining the bar with the index finger. And then we're going to go, so that's wasted, and then n. This is tricky. You see it says 222X. The A string is X'd out. What does that mean? Well, the X there is telling you to actually mute the string. And it's not as hard as it seems, especially because it's played in such a quick transition that if you don't play it perfectly, it's okay because it happens so quickly, no one really notices. But what that is the index now with the bar, instead of applying equal pressure across all 4 strings, is going to just raise a little bit up to mute that A string. Again, if you don't get it just right, that's okay. If it hits a little bit in there, it's not a big deal. And so that goes wasting the, and then time, we're going to come up on a C, just add your middle finger back on the 3rd fret of the A string. All right, so let's just try that 2 measure stretch because it's kind of difficult. Measures 13 and 14, it goes sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. And then filler from here on out. In fact, measures 15 and 16 both are just filler. And the filler that I like to play is starting with 15th, it's a miss going down, then up, down, miss, down, and then we're going to come up on 2 on the A with your index, and then 1 on the A with the index, and then up on an A7 to complete measure 15. A7 is just played with your index finger here on the first fret of the C string. And then going into measure 16, we're going to miss going down, and then up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Really straightforward, right? So let's go ahead and hear 13, 14, 15, and 16 together. Should be something like this. Sittin' on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Now, at this point, there's a repeat marker written. What that repeat marker tells you to do, go all the way back to the beginning of the song. That's it, right? When we go back to the beginning of the song, we play through that chorus a second time. And that's what happens in the original song, and that's what we can do to add some length. If you notice, though, at my playthrough at the beginning of the video, I didn't play it a second time. And that's just because, I wanted to keep it a little bit shorter for the video, and you can repeat it or you don't have to. That's what's cool about music, right? So I'm going to now go right into the bridge section from here. Now the bridge, interestingly enough, there are words to this, but they didn't translate really well to the ukulele. So I tried to make it a little bit more of like a texture instrumental. And what I mean by texture instrumental is I try to keep the original sort of integrity of the song, but distill it down to something a little bit easier to play. And I think it came out pretty well. All that we're going to do to start this is play a C chord. Doesn't matter, however you normally play a C chord. And you're going to do a down, down, up. Super straightforward. Down, down, up. Then you're going to go to a G chord. Index on 2nd fret of the C, ring finger on 3rd fret of the E, middle finger on 2nd fret of the A. And you're going to do the same thing. Down, down, up. And that's all in measure 17. Down, down, up, down, down, up. And then there's this really fun little line. So you're going to play this pseudo F chord. To do this, take your index finger and place it on the 1st fret of the E string, and take your ring finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the A string. You're going to do a down strum here, and then you're going to take the ring finger off and do up, down on the open. Then you're going to take that ring finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the E string, and you're going to play that for up, down. And then the final up, down, up, you're going to take that ring finger off, leaving your index on 1 of the E. Up, down, up. So it goes something like this on 18. Down, up, down, up. Oh, excuse me. See, I got lost already. Really easy to get lost with this because there's so many zeros. So let's break it down again. Down on the 3, and then up, open, down on the open, up on the 3, down on the 3, up on the open with the 1, and then down, and then up. That's better. Let's try that more fast. And then you'll notice there's a repeat marker and it says 3 times. What that means is you're going to play measures 17 and 18 3 times. Should sound something like this. Sounds nice, right? You can build a little bit, get a little bit more momentum, increase the intensity, whatever you want to do. And then you go on to measure 19, B flat chord. B flat's tough, but we've done a lot of bar chords so far in this, so I think you can do it. Index finger, I like to bar across just the E and A strings on the 1st fret, middle finger here, the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger here to the 3rd fret of the G string. I like to do this because it's just a little bit less effort than doing the full bar, but whatever works for you is great. And with this bar chord, we're going to go down, down, up, down, up, down. Pretty straightforward rhythm, right? Down, miss, down, up, down, up, down. And then we're going to come on the very last strum up on a G chord. And then we're going to go up, down to finish it. So this is what 19 and 20 should sound like. Now you might hear, oh, I did a little percussion thing, right? All that is on that last down of the B flat. I'm kind of getting ready for the G, so I might bring my fingers off towards it, and that might create a little muted sound. If that's confusing, don't worry about it. Just play it as written. But if you want that little extra oomph, all I'm doing is getting ready by muting the strings as I come up. But let's go ahead and hear the whole bridge section. Should be something like this. Now from here we go on to the outro, which is the whistling part, which is awesome. If you've listened to the original song, you'll know there's a very iconic whistle. And I kind of adapted it a little bit for the ukulele. We're trying to remove some of the intensity with the rest of the arrangement and make this, you know, a little softer. So the way we play this is we move to our thumb. Up to this point, everything's been strummed. Here we're going to pick it. I like to just use my thumb to play this, but you can also do 4 or 3 finger picking. If you'd like more information on these types of finger styles, be sure to check out the link down below where I did a full course on finger picking available on my Patreon page. But we're going to pluck our C chord or strum through with our thumb. And then we're going to play open on the A, 3 on the E with the ring, and then the 0 on the C and 0 on the E together. So you can pluck them both, or you can take your thumb and pluck them both. Whatever works. And then 2 on the C. Now, a lot of 2 on the C and 0 is going to happen here. So the first measure, and then it's going to go open on the E, 2 on the C, 2 on the C, open, 2 on the C, open on the E, 2 on the C, 2 on the C, open on the C, 2 on the C, open on the E, and then 3 on the E. Finally, something a little different. Ring finger there on the 3rd fret. Then we're going to play an A7 twice. Take your index, place it on the 1st fret of the C string, remove everything else. 2 nice little down strums. So it should sound something like this, going through measure 21. And then it repeats. Now, it doesn't just repeat, it repeats and fades. There's no real ending to the song because there's no real ending to Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, right? You always come back. And so when you're going to be playing this, you can end it with the C chord after the repeat if you want. You can just get quieter, you know, do something like until you're so quiet you can barely hear it, whatever you want to do. But that is the outro, and that is the end of this tutorial for the Dock of the Bay, or also known as Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay. Absolutely wonderful song. I got to do some work with it in school when I was growing up and in college, and I was really excited that this won my Patreon song vote, where every month we do a different arrangement based off of suggestions and voting on my Patreon page. So if you'd like to check out all the different lessons I have available there, be sure to check out the link down below, and I'll look forward to seeing what you guys think of for next month's tutorial. In the meantime, I hope you have fun with this. Leave any questions you have down below, and have a fantastic time working on Dock of the Bay. Thanks so much.